Κυρίες και κύριοι, καλησπέρα σας και καλώς ορίσατε στην εκπομπή μας. Η εκπομπή ΟΜΟΓΕΝΕΙΑ ΕΔΩ ΛΟΝΔΙΝΟ και αυτή την Παρασκευή θα σας παρουσιάσει τις εκδηλώσεις που πραγματοποιήθηκαν και αυτή την εβδομάδα στην Ομογένεια του Λονδίνου και όχι μόνο. Πριν ξεκινήσουμε, να σας υπενθυμίσουμε ότι μπορείτε να μας παρακολουθείτε από το Freeview στο κανάλι 244. Επίσης μπορείτε να προμηθευτείτε το Rockbox από τα γραφεία της ΣΥΤΑ UK στο Southgate και μπορείτε να παρακολουθείτε τα τηλεοπτικά και ραδιοφωνικά κανάλια από Ελλάδα και Κύπρο. Για περισσότερες πληροφορίες για το κουτί, επικοινωνήστε με την ΣΥΤΑ UK ή επισκεφτείτε την ιστοσελίδα της www.sitauk.com. Επίσης, με το application Vision TV Net, που μπορείτε να παρακολουθείτε όλα τα προγράμματά μας ζωντανά στο κινητό, στο τάμπλετ ή στον υπολογιστή σας. Για περισσότερες πληροφορίες σχετικά με τα προγράμματα του Hellenic TV και τους τρόπους που μπορείτε να μας παρακολουθείτε, μπορείτε να βρείτε στην ιστοσελίδα μας www.hellenictv.net. Επίσης, για την προβολή της εκδήλωσης ή της επιχείρησής σας, επικοινωνήστε μαζί μας στο τηλέφωνο 020 82 92 70 37 ή στην ηλεκτρονική μας διεύθυνση info@hellenictv.net. Στο απόψινό μας πρόγραμμα θα σας παρουσιάσουμε απόσπασμα από την συνέντευξη που μας παραχώρησε η βουλευτής Βορείου Λονδίνου, κυρία Joan Ryan, απόσπασμα από την διάλεξη του Ελεύθερου Πανεπιστημίου στην Ομογένεια του Λονδίνου, επίσης απόσπασμα από την διάλεξη που πραγματοποιήθηκε από το ΚΙΚΕΜ Λάρνακας, αμοχώς του, αποσπάσματα από την εκδήλωση του ραδιομαραθωνίου και τέλος, όπως έχουμε καθιερώσει, φάσεις και γκολ από τον τελικό FA Sunday Cup μεταξύ της Νέας Σαλαμίνας και της Αγγλικής Hardwick Social. Το πρώτο μας θέμα παρουσιάζει την αποκλειστική συνέντευξη που έδωσε στο Hellenic TV και στον συνεργάτη μας Βασίλη Παναγή, η φιλοκύπρια βουλευτής των Εργατικών του Enfield North, κυρία Joan Ryan. Η συνέντευξη ήταν στα πλαίσια της προεκλογικής της εκστρατείας. Η κυρία Ryan εξέφρασε τις θέσεις της για τον προεκλογικό αγώνα που ξεκίνησε, αλλά και για τις θέσεις των εργατικών. Η συνέντευξη ήταν εφόλης της ύλης και εμείς θα παρακολουθήσουμε αποσπάσματα από την σημαντική της αυτή συνέντευξη.
What will be the main issues that you will be the focus of your campaign?
Mm-hmm. Well, you're right. Just 2 years ago, we fought the last election, and this is I think, the first snap election since 1974. Mm-hmm. So we've had a very, very busy week, 10 days, putting everything in place and preparing. Mm-hmm. Doing everything that we'd normally spend 3, 4, 5 months working through. In Enfield North, the issues on the doorstep are very clear and the needs of the whole community are very clear. And they centre around the issues of healthcare provision, hospitals and GPs. Education, there's a lot of concern about the cuts to the school budgets and the difficulty that is causing the larger class sizes, the loss of teachers. Policing, we have a very difficult situation. We've had a number of stabbings and shootings in recent weeks. We've got a very big rise in violent crime and a fall in the number of police, a very big fall. Over the last 7 years, we've lost 188 uniformed officers off the streets of Enfield. Housing is a major issue. There is a shortage of supply and prices are very, very high in Enfield when it used to be a reasonably priced borough. And the private rented sector is also very expensive, and some of the private let is very substandard. So there is another issue there. So health, education, crime, housing really are the top domestic issues. Mm-hmm. I suppose coming up just behind them is transport and air quality, air pollution. So that's the domestic scene. in Enfield. But one very big issue is also Brexit and people's concern about what the outcome of the Brexit negotiations will be, what it will mean for them, for their families, for their jobs, for our economy.
Okay, staying on that subject, Brexit, okay, as you can understand, I am particularly concerned about the fate of Cypriots, Greek Cypriots and Greeks from Greece, you know what I mean? And, are you going to make sure that you're going to support the guarantee of their right to stay, and you're going to guarantee the right of stay in, what are you going to do?
For EU nationals,
Taking further, Mr. Corbyn, Jeremy Corbyn, has said he will do the minute he will come to power, independent of the progress in the negotiations. What have you said to that?
I think that EU nationals, which would include Cypriots, who are already here, who are making their life here, who are working here, who are settled here, I think we should very much give them the reassurance they need and deserve that yes, of course, they can stay. And we want the same reassurance for British citizens in European Union countries.
Yes.
And I think it would be a very good idea to do that, first of all, for the individuals involved who are here and making a contribution to this society, and for the British citizens who are doing the same in other European countries. But secondly, I think it would be a very good idea to show a little bit of goodwill to the European Union. I am very concerned that Theresa May seems to approach the situation along with David Davis and Boris Johnson in a very clumsy and high-handed fashion, and seems to forget that we are leaving the EU, not the EU leaving us. And we cannot just demand the terms on which we will leave. And so I think it would be helpful to be a little bit more user-friendly with the EU about the negotiations. And the situation for EU nationals, I think, would be a very good way of showing some goodwill and friendship, because after all, even after we've left, these are our closest neighbours, our closest trading allies, and they are an integral part of the security situation for this country. So it would be very foolish not to establish good relationships outside the EU as we've had inside the EU. But for my own part, let me say, I think we have to respect the vote that the British people have taken. I voted Remain. My constituency of Enfield North is almost a dead heat. It's even closer than the national result. So it's very much split right down the middle between a kind of 49 and 51%. Very, very close. So I voted Remain, but we said this was a national referendum. We didn't say it was a constituency-based one. We didn't say it was borough-based or region. We said the national result would determine the outcome. I think we have to keep faith with that. I think that's what is required in a democracy. You can't contradict the voter. However close it was, we have to now accept that decision. I accept the decision. I voted for Article 50, and I think we have to get on with it. But I think we have to get on with it and try and work cooperatively in Parliament and with government, whoever is in number 10. And we have to make sure that we come away with the very best deal for the British people. And for me, the best deal for the people of Enfield. And I don't think we achieve that by just giving Theresa May a blank cheque to go and negotiate any deal that she pleases. I think we live in a parliamentary democracy, and it's right that Parliament should have some oversight of this decision. That why would we take the pressure off? We need to keep some pressure on Theresa May to go and negotiate the best, most positive deal for jobs, for our economy, for our security and our defence, for the people of this country. And therefore, she needs to come back to Parliament, and Parliament needs to have a proper say in whether that deal is a good deal or not. Just like she wanted to get Article 50 triggered just on the back of her own decision. And it was the courts who said to her, no, you have to bring that to Parliament. You have to have a bill, a white paper, and a proper debate. We went into the EU on legislation with a bill, and we go out the same way with legislation. We all have a mandate from the people who elect us, and it's right that Parliament speaks on behalf of the people. So whatever deal Theresa May manages to get, and we should work as cooperatively as we can with her, but she has to know there is this pressure, this accountability and this scrutiny that she must bring it back to Parliament, so we can ensure that the British people get the best deal, and that the EU nationals here and the British nationals abroad also get a fair and good deal.
You're supporting that idea, and you're gonna insist on that, yes?
I am, yes.
And you promise you're gonna do your best.
Yes, absolutely,
for those,
I am.
Who are
absolutely
listening to us at the moment from Enfield.
Yes, absolutely, I am.
Staying on the subject of what needs they have, in Enfield, and you're talking about houses are expensive, rent is expensive. What can you do about it? I mean, to reduce even the cost of rent, because it's so difficult for people to cope with that.
I think it's a question of supply and demand.
So if you supply more houses?
Yeah, I think, look, the government, I think, acknowledges they should be building more, that needs to happen. But they've been saying that now for
ages.
For 7 long years.
Yes.
And there's been very little progress. We've got some of the lowest levels of house building that we've seen since the 1920s. So, and certainly since the post-war period. So if you built more and the supply was stronger, then that would naturally bring prices down to a more affordable level. They also need to build more of what we call affordable homes, more housing association homes, more homes for shared ownership, and more homes that are pitched at an affordable rent for people.
Okay, talking about building more houses, and so you can find a way to reduce the rent and all this. Where is the money going to come from? I mean, even it's another subject. Mr. Corbyn says that he's going to employ 10,000 police. So where is this money going to come from?
Well, any government makes choices and has their priorities. I mean, it's not as if the current government spends no money. It's,
they do.
As you know,
yes.
So it's where you direct those resources to, and what you think is the best way to spend money to benefit the majority of the population and address the needs that they have. And it's also what you think is your best fiscal policies. We've heard a lot about changes to taxation in this country that have only benefited a few people rather than the majority. So I think undoubtedly we're going to have to be very careful about finances, there's no question. However, the current government has been very slowly changing the things it says, so that it's adopting many of the ideas that were originally put forward, for instance, by Ed Balls and Ed Miliband, when in the last election, just 2 years ago, they constantly said, there's no money for that, this can't be done, and now they seem to think that it can be done.
Yes.
So I think most people realise, and many economists say, that the austerity that we have is not helping the economy to recover. And the people paying the price for that are the many, not the few. So we've seen hardly any uplift in wages. People have been fortunate if they've had a 1% pay increase, whereas inflation and prices have outstripped that, and certainly rental costs have. So we've got a situation in Enfield where a lot of people are paying over 50% of their income in their rent. It's unsustainable, and what it means is people who are working are living in poverty. These are not people who are lazy or don't want to go out to work, but we are creating an ever larger group of the working poor. So much so, we heard the other day of nurses and midwives using food banks. And Theresa May's answer, when asked this question, whether this was acceptable, whether nurses and midwives should be being paid so little that they have to use food banks, and her answer was, there are complex reasons why people use a food bank. I don't think it's complex. People who use a food bank do so because they can't afford to go to the shops and buy their food. And we've got food banks in Enfield now that are doing clothing packages for under fives. So I think that's a measure of how hard life is for a lot of people. People who are in work, not only are they getting food from food banks, they're having to get clothing to feed their little ones. I think we should be ashamed in one of the world's largest economies. There's a debate, are we fifth, are we seventh? But wherever we are a very large economy. That if you just look at us on all the various world economic measures, we are one of the richest countries in the world. Yes. And yet we have people who are working, as well as those who are not, having to use food banks for both clothes and food. People like nurses and midwives who are making a most important contribution to our community, a contribution that we can't do without. I think we should be ashamed that we're not paying such people a proper income. And that's down to the kind of choices a government makes. And I think a Labour government would make very different choices. And every time Labour comes to power, it always has to rescue the National Health Service, for instance. And I think that tells you something about the values and principles of Labour.
Ολόκληρη αυτή η συνέντευξη είναι αναρτημένη στο κανάλι μας, στο YouTube, και μπορείτε να την παρακολουθήσετε από εκεί.